Hello, this is Nougatbar and welcome back to my channel. Hello, this is Nougatbar and welcome to my channel. This is a channel all about knitting, and I try to share my finished objects here and also random knitting related videos here and there. Most of my content is in Korean, but I am trying to keep up with some English content at least in order to have some content for the non-Korean speaking viewers, because I did notice that there were more and more non-Korean speaking viewers and subscribers also, so I'm really thankful for all of you who are sticking with me despite the sparse English content. So today I'm here to share a recent finished object, and it's the Letho Cardigan. Oh my god, I really love this. So I know we're going into the warmer weather here in Korea, and I think the northern hemisphere. I'm not great with my geography, but I think it's the northern, yeah it is. So I know that we are heading into the warmer weathers, but I still wanted to share this make because I finished it. So to be fair, I won't really be wearing this up until October, I think, but luckily enough we did have some temperature drops after I had finished this pattern, so I did get the chance to wear it quite a few days actually, and I'm really thankful for that because it was a project that I had high hopes for, and I did spend a little bit more time on it than I had initially planned, but that's because I had a little kerfuffle and it was all my fault and not the pattern itself. But I stuck with it and I finished it, and I am so happy with it. So this is the Letho Cardigan by Natasja Hornby, also known as Moonstruck knits, and there you go. So I think the statement design feature is of course this triangular spine in the back, but also there's these welts and mosaic colorwork, and these come back here. It's so pretty. I love the design. And I'm also so pleased with the colour choice that I made. So, I talked about the pattern, so I'm just going to show off the colours I picked for this pattern. I think this is the only bit of yarn that's left from this main colour. So you see there was a little bit of yarn tricking going on, but I made it and it's a fully nice knitted sweater. So this pattern requires for 3 colours, so 1 main colour and 2 contrasting colours. But yeah, so this is the main colour. I opted for this this beigey oatmeal-y colour. Whoopsies, it's not focusing at all, but you get the vibes. So all of these yarns are from like a coned yarn that I got in Korea, and they're all lambswool. So I think 80% lambswool and 20% nylon blend. I'm not really sure, maybe 75-25, but it's something along the line. And I had actually unwinded it and rewinded it in order to make it knittable in a 4.5mm, which is required in the pattern, which is the needle size suggested in the pattern. So this is my contrasting colour number 1. So it's a mossy greeny colour, so it's heathered and it's pretty. I think that heathered colours are really pretty. And this is the contrasting colour number 2, which is a rusty orange. And actually in the pattern you don't really need a lot of the colour number 2, and I don't think that I used a lot of the colour 1 either, even though I did do a little, some modifications. So you actually really need like most of the main colour, and these only use up just a little bit of yarn. So one of the particularities of the pattern is it's not traditional construction. So most of the patterns are either knit from bottom up or top down, but this is knit from sleeve to middle. I don't think that this time, but you start with the sleeves and it's knit in this direction, like this. So it's similar to the rose cardigan in the knitting construction wise, not really, but just to give you an idea. So it just starts on the sleeves, but you knit in the round from the sleeves. So basically you have to knit 2 pieces from the sleeves until the back spine and another one of that, and then you sorry, I'm being very all over the place, and then you do a 3 needle bind off in order to bind these 2 different parts together, and you do this visible 3 needle bind off. And I really like this detail as well. It just gives a little bit more interest, and like it's like a little bit more texture. So I really like that. And then after doing that, you pick up the stitches here to do these mosaic knitting and welt detailing, and then you do the ribbon, and then you finish up with this brioche color. So as you might have noticed, it does involve a lot of different techniques, and I think some people might get a little bit intimidated by patterns that have too much techniques. Like when you see the pattern description and when it says like brioche, mosaic knitting, color work, welts, sometimes it might seem intimidating, but really I always want to say that never get intimidated by a pattern. If you really want to knit the design, just start it and you'll figure yourself out, and you will always be learning stuff along the way, so you have nothing to lose. And I think that if you really have the passion to finish a certain pattern, you can always do it. And I really don't like this term, like I really don't like labeling yourself as a beginner knitter, an intermediate knitter, or what's after intermediate, a professional knitter. Yeah, so I really don't think that you have to have a label. You can just knit whatever you want, and the world's your oyster, right? So if this pattern really speaks to you, I say just do it, as Nike says it. But yeah, so why was I talking about this? But it does have a lot of techniques involved, but I think that they're really, really well intertwined, and they go so well together in order to make this design. And sometimes it can feel like techniques are thrown into a pattern, but really for this design, these techniques are all so well curated. So there's some brioche knitting in the round, but everything's really, really well written down in the pattern. And for me personally, I always think that if you're afraid to knit in the round, you can always knit it flat and then seam it together, so you have options. And then there's this welt detailing and the mosaic knitting part. So I had to block it on the floor, so it does have a little bit creasing happening, but I believe that with wear it will kind of disappear, right? So this is the colors. So I completely followed the pattern. So for the welts, normally it's 2 welts of the main color and 1 welt with the second contrasting color, but you can see that in the main body part I made a little change, and that's because I found that and also to start with, I was really, really pleased with the color choices I had made, and I find that these colors really, really go well together. And I was a little bit upset is too strong of a word, but upset that I only got to use the green for the mosaic part, and I felt that there was too much of the oatmeal beige going on. So, and And it was especially after that I did this spine. I really liked this green colour contrasted with the oatmeal beige. So what I did is I changed the last welt, and I just made sure that it wasn't the one which was just next to the mosaic colorwork, because then it would be like green, and I think that wouldn't have been a great balance. But I did the green and then the main color, second color, and the first contrasting color, and I actually really like it, because if I imagine this finished object without this green welt, I think it'd be a little bit dull and a little bit lost in the pattern, and the statement piece would the statement factor would only be in the back. But by putting this by knitting the third welt in this color that really pops out, I think it just gives a little bit more interest and looks very nice. So I'm really pleased with the modification I made. I think it's the only modification I made. I knit a size 1, not sure. I think I knit the size 1, and I didn't make any modifications in terms of length. It is a cropped sweater, a cropped cardigan, and I know that there's a lot of people who did make it longer, and in the pattern there's everything written out for people who want to make it a little bit longer. To make it longer, but I always go for cropped sweaters. And actually I think when I knit it, it was like this length, and with blocking it actually grew a little bit, and I was a little bit upset with that. But to be fair, it's still quite a cropped length. It just this is my like belly button, so it's actually quite a good length, and I really like it. So this goes really well with jeans or anything. I think it really goes well with this as well. So it's really easy to wear, and you can see that the sleeves are very boxy, so you can wear it over anything. Because sometimes, I think I've talked about this in one of the other videos, I think the rose cardigan one, but sometimes when cardigans are tight fitting, especially in the arms, it can be really hard to pair with other clothing, because I do like to wear, I know that I'm wearing quite a tight fitted t-shirt right now, but I do have a lot of like boxy style t-shirts. So if the cardigans are tight fitting on the sleeves, it's really hard to wear in the daily life. So I really like that aspect of it, and it's really an easy wearing cardigan. So there was one issue, all on me. So one of the chafus I had, and that made the knitting process a little bit that had prolongated the knitting process, was I knit the pattern, I read the pattern wrong. So after you knit the sleeves, that you do provisional cast on, and then you're basically, it's a little bit complicated to explain, but you're knitting like this. So you're basically first knitting a tube, but then what you do is you do this provisional cast on here, and then you're working in the round, no, not in the round, but knitted flat like this. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's stuck together. But yeah, so you're knitting like from hip to back hip to back hip to front hip, something like that. So you're knitting in the round. So at this point in the pattern, it says, I don't know, knit like XX amount of centimeters. So I was very silly, and I thought that it was from the provisional cast on edge, but actually it meant like the complete length of the knitting portion. So and it was clearly mentioned in the pattern that it was like where you had to like measure from, but I completely didn't read it, and I felt like I was in a stockinette pit, and it was taking me ages and ages, and I finally reached those, I think 20 something centimeters, and I was like, this looks quite strange. Of course I didn't think about it earlier, and it looks quite strange, and I was about to do like the different things you have to do afterwards, and I just checked the pattern because it looks very strange, and it said that like basically I had knit twice the length, and since it was after I had done the provisional cast on, it meant that the width of the stockinette portion was double this width, so it was quite it was like a blanket. And so that took a lot of time, and especially during that stockinette pit I didn't really pick it up because I didn't want to do a lot of stockinette. And yeah, but once I had picked this back up, I think it knitted itself quite fast, I think. So if I just didn't have that issue, I think it would have been like a smooth sailing knit. But yeah, so I always say knit the pattern, not knit, read the pattern carefully and read ahead, because sometimes there's the at the same time, so always read ahead. But I always say that to people and never do it, so there you go. Don't do what I do as I say. And the last problem I had was again all on me. So I had finished this pattern. I actually finished it when I went camping, and I was so excited because I was really looking forward to have it off the needles, and at that point it was like coming up so beautifully, and I really love the colours, I really love the detail, and I really love the pattern in general. So I was so excited. I washed it when not as soon as I came back, but I washed it the evening I came back, and I was just all over the place that day, that I left it soaking in the water for like a few hours because I completely forgot about it. And then I realized when I was blocking it that it had actually bled. So this green had bled. So I'll show you where it's like really obvious. So here you can see that. So as you can see, it's not like this green had bled all over the place. It's more that yeah, it had bled, but it wasn't like excessively bleeding, I think. But it was the fact that I had just left it soaking in the water for such a long time that these colours had printed itself on the fabric parts it was touching. And as you can see, like, the green is very contrasting to the background color, and you can see like I have these blue lines, and I guess that this was like from this touching this part. So there you go, and it was like a little bit all over the cardigan. So here as well you can see that there's like a hint of blue happening. And I was so upset because, and I felt so stupid because I was so stupid, and I was so upset because I really loved the finished object, and I basically had worked for months on it and just managed to ruin it all in a few hours. And yeah, so I was really upset, but I tried to like make it up. And as you can see here, I don't know if it's really obvious in the on the camera, but yeah, you can like slightly see it. So you know these like triangle parts, it actually had printed on this side. So I had like a few triangles going like en plus it was like in a diagonal, so it was really unappealing. But what I did is, so I had a lot of thoughts. I thought that maybe I could like rip out this portion and try to mend it or something. But I figured that might be too much of a deal. So this lambswool consists of 6 strands of these fine yarn strands. So what I did is I took 1 strand of this thing, so it's really fine. I think it's like a lace weight maybe, or even less, and I just did some not visible mending, but I did some duplicate stitching on this portion that I felt like was
I did some duplicate stitching on the on the surface where there was some printing, and you can see that, like, if you look really closely in person, so you can see here, I think that there has been some duplicate stitch happening, but what effect it gives is that it fades out the imprint, and since you're duplicate stitching on the bare surface, it blends a little bit of that mess I made. So I think that, like, if you look up close, it is visible, but I made it less obvious, let's say. So if I don't really say that there was this issue, I don't think a lot of people will notice it right now. And since it was such a fine strand, it didn't really like make any of this portion bulky. So I think it's like, this is the best option I had from the mistake I made. And yeah, so I'm satisfied with this finished object, and I've been wearing it a lot since, well, as much as I could, because with the weather. So here you go. So this was one of my recent finished objects. It's not really recent because I know that this video will take ages to be uploaded, but this is one of my recent makes, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you don't make the mistake I do. So if you have any contrasting yarn, do not soak it for hours. Do not leave it in the water for hours, because even though it doesn't bleed like that, and I had no issues with my swatch, so I didn't even like think that it could bleed, but if you leave it for hours, it can. So just don't do that, and don't miss the hours of work you've been spending on the project. So if you did enjoy this video, feel free to like, subscribe to my channel. I will be coming back with other knitting content soon. And also, if you want to check out my Ko-fi, I am on Ko-fi too, and if you do support me on Ko-fi, it does mean the world to me. So thank you very much, and have an excellent day. Bye bye.